Welcome, one and all, to another episode of Cut Ups. We got a fresh haircut Steven in here to break down Michigan versus Penn State. The X's and O's, everything you need to see from the second half of Michigan's 24-15 road victory over the Nittany Lions of Penn State. If you missed part one, all right, we broke down a couple good touchdowns in the first half for the Wolverines. We broke down Kenneth Grant being a freak, chasing down a running back 35 yards down the field. If you missed that, Trevor and I broke that down earlier this week on Tuesday. That was 2 days ago. So check that out. That should be on the channel. You can find it on the Michigan Rivals YouTube channel, where you probably are right now. So go check that out if you're interested in most of the first half. We got like 4 plays here for the rest of the first half, and then we'll be covering the rest of the second half today as well. If my voice is hoarse, I was on calls all day, and I got a haircut where I talked, and then I had another appointment where I talked. So, woo. I am going to be taking drink breaks so that I don't get sick, because I got to run planned in the morning. Can't have that. Shadyville, go blue, bet. Yeah, Harbaugh. We'll talk about this as people flow in here. Harbaugh, right, out for the next 2 games, Maryland and Ohio State. I don't necessarily see this as an indictment against Michigan or an admission of guilt or anything like that. I think this is more a we're sick of this, and we probably don't want to open up everything to the courtroom. I don't know. Josh is the guy on the ground who has the information that you need over on the den at michigan.rivals.com. He's had great intel there. Haven't had a chance to look at it the past couple hours, so there may be additional updates there. That's the spot to go for more information than I can provide you. Okay, with all of that out of the way, Mr. Martini says he cut his losses. I think that's true. And you know what? I think the odds are there might be a fine from the NCAA at the end of this. They could very well look at this and be like, you know what? Those 3 games, time served, right? They could. I don't know, right? And I'm not going to be one to claim. So anything I say here is speculation, right? But it does seem like there's at least organization moving forward, right? There is value, and I'll end with this. There is value in knowing what your path forward is. Having things up in the air, depending on the courts, having a third party decide the future coaching of your program, that is not secure. And security means a lot to a lot of programs, right? So there's a time to stick your foot in the ground and hold, right? And to push back against the powers that be. There's also times to say that we want to know what's going to happen, right? And sometimes meeting in the middle, even though it isn't satisfactory for everybody, there's stability there. And now Michigan can move forward with at least a path, whereas they didn't know which path was going to happen for them. So I'm not overly worried about it. Sherrod Moore obviously proved on the road at Penn State that he can lead this team to a victory, can probably do so against the remaining 2 teams in the regular season. So I'm not overly concerned. I'd be way more concerned if Harbaugh wasn't able to coach, right? Just not being there for the game. Of course, it means something. Does it mean everything? I don't think so, right? I think Michigan can still be exceptional and win those games. Okay, I've talked enough, and now it's time to get into the play analysis. All right, let's hide this. Let's get it going. And let's watch the Wolverines beat up on some Nittany Lions, shall we? Here we go. 3rd and 5, near the end of the second quarter. Penn State driving.
Here's Allen with the handoff, and Allen is.
And this is where the Boo Birds really came into play on this 3rd and 5, right? And I think there was only like 17 snaps or something for Rayshawn Benny, but he's the guy to watch here. All right, watch Rayshawn Benny. I'll play it all the way through, and then I'll rewind here. Just a great move. Great move getting across the line of scrimmage, making a great tackle. And we got the close-up here. Again, Rayshawn Benny here. Watch this swim move. Does a really nice job here. Getting past 64. And it's supposed to be a double team, right? You see the double team here. between your center and guard, 1 and 2, before reaching out, right? So is this a pure win for Rayshawn Benny? I would say so, right? Because they got to block the guy, but they both leave for the linebacker here, right? And that's never successful on an inside zone run play. You can't leave the guy you're supposed to be doubling and then getting off into the linebacker. Someone's got to block him, right? Someone's got to block him. And he just teleports his way into the backfield and makes the assist or the solo tackle for loss. So great job from him, right? Not getting all that many snaps for Rayshawn Benny, but he's making the most of those snaps, right? Heck of a play from him. And it's great to see because some players would probably be discouraged not getting more than 20 snaps per game. But hey, if you're getting 17 snaps, make the most of them, right? And Rayshawn Benny getting a 2-yard loss here on 3rd down, that's huge. And that's only going to get him more snaps. So a great play there from Rayshawn Benny, one of his best games in a Michigan Wolverines uniform. All right, that sets up 4th and 6 here. And a good play here for Penn State.
Here's Aller to throw it with time. Delivers and caught for.
This is the hat tip. All right, this is a hat tip. Michigan sending 5 on sort of delayed pressure. There's a little bit of pressure there for Aller, and he delivers a pass to number 7 here on the outside. So let's see if we can get the pass rush here. I don't think we have a better view of it. So Michigan sends 4. Actually, it's 5 on a delayed blitz here. So they're dropping back. I believe that's Derek Moore here on the outside. He's going to fake the rush here, and then he's going to drop back into coverage. Then you're bringing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 late blitz. So you're bringing both your linebackers. You're replacing one of the linebackers with Derek Moore, right? And the rush doesn't really get there. Michigan gets what they want, right? They get what they want by stressing the rush here. So that's going to take this tackle, right? It's going to take their left tackle away from this. And then they're going to have the guard matched up here. This is going to free up Michael Barrett against the running back. And that's the matchup they want here in the backfield, right? They want Michael Barrett against that running back. And that's exactly what they get. Now, Mike Barrett does beat this block. I'd say the running back does fine, right? If this goes anything past that first read for Drew Aller, he might be in trouble because you can see Mike Barrett right here. He's got that running back going backwards, right? And now he's got a clear path towards the quarterback. You also have Junior Colson coming around the outside. So this pressure will get there if Drew Aller has to come off that first read. The issue is he doesn't, right? He doesn't have to. So let's look at the route here. And I don't get to say this all that often. Mike Sanders still just gets beat, right? Just straight up gets beat. It's a good route, and that's a great catch. That throw is not great. It's behind him, right? If we look at the footwork here for Mike Sanders still right here, he's reaching, right? And now he's lost. He isn't able to get into the hip pocket here of number 7. Number 7 does a good job distancing himself a little bit from Sanders still. And it's just not the best footwork here. You can see Sanders still is a bit off balance at the time of the cut, right? As soon as this cut is happening, you don't have a composed Sanders still. He has to play catch up here. So it's a good route, right? Number 7 has a good route here. And then it's a bad throw, right? Throws behind him. So give 7 a lot of credit. That's not an easy catch, especially on a 4th down. It's full extension, right? So I say sometimes you have to extend the hat tip, and number 7 made that play, right? Number 7 made that play, put on a nice route. Sanders still could have done that a little bit better. But give him credit, right? He made the play. Aller made at least a somewhat accurate throw, and they convert on 4th down. Antoine coming in here. Have you seen the injury report for the Buckeyes dropping like flies? I haven't seen the injury report for Ohio State. I know Emeka Ibuka has been out for a bit. I know they've had some running back injuries. I know Travion Henderson at least has been coming back, right? So I haven't been paying attention all that much. I know, who is it? They lost Ransom, one of their defensive backs. Michael Jr. is out. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see. That's a big loss. That's their defensive tackle, right? So if Michigan wants to establish the run game, that's really important for them. So, yeah, I'll pause and just mention like the depth here, right? When you have a guy like Rayshawn Benny, who would probably start on, I would say, at least 75% of other Big Ten defensive lines, right? When he is only getting 17 snaps and is arguably third team defensive tackle, right? That's the position Michigan wants to be at this point in the season, right? That's why they have rotated this much, where now they're solidifying, Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham, Chris Jenkins, your snap count's going to be increasing, right? And you're going to be in more often than not in the 4 quarters of this game. That's all for health, right? That's all for health, establishing the depth here and then being able to capitalize on that health and lack of injuries late in the season. That's it, man. That's it. And I agree with Shadyville here. Some people say they want other teams at full strength. I don't care. I only want to win. You don't apologize for other teams not having adequate depth. A program is responsible for building that depth, right? If a program is completely out of it with one injury or a couple injuries, they haven't established their depth, right? Michigan, sure, maybe they could have scored 70 against teams earlier in the year. What does that do, right? I'd rather a team win by 10 points and start every single player on their roster than win by 40 points and only play their starters all game, right? So this is a thing where you expect injuries to happen. Sometimes you'll have really good injury luck, right? But you have to expect that injuries will happen. And if it comes down to not having the established depth, that's an indictment on your program because you didn't do enough to prepare the second and third string to be able to step in, right? So that's a generalization. I don't think it's always that simple, right? Certain positions like quarterback is really hard to establish that depth compared to like a safety or a defensive lineman, right? But there is some truth to that. Like I truly believe that it's up to a program to establish that depth. All right, back into 4th and 1 here. Another 4th down, right? Another 4th down was Penn State due.
Down and 1. Allen, they pitch. He's looking to throw it to Aller. He's got it. First down, Penn State.
And this is where I was like, oh, good old Frames Janklin. All right, this is 4th and 1, okay? And I was in the stands for this one. When I saw this play, I looked over at a fan next to me, and they were like, man, they're really emptying the cupboard. That's what this like old lady said to me or something. And I was like, yeah, you're right. They're really going all out here. They're really, really like they're scratching all the plays they can for this drive, right? And I was frustrated, right, that they pulled out this throwback pass, the Philly special. Is that what you call it? I don't know. But the throwback pass to the quarterback here, I was frustrated because I'm like, oh, like what a cheap play, you know? But to me, this was like, okay, this is all they have left. They're not confident enough on 4th and 1 to pick up that yard. This is what they have to resort to, right? So in terms of breaking down the play, right, what could have been done a little bit better. I think Braden McGregor could have recognized that, right? You see his eyes here, maybe go with it, right? Maybe. You see eyes kind of going back here as well. So I don't know. This is one of those that is really difficult to prepare for. You know, it's really difficult to say, oh yeah, and in case the quarterback starts faking out to the outside, go cover him, right? This is just a trick play. It works because it's not really sustainable. It's not something that you put on film and you get 4 yards out of it, right? So anyway, more of a bummer than anything else here. Okay, now we're at 1st and 10, midway or 38 seconds left in the second quarter.
1st down and 10 at the Michigan 11. Here's Aller. Quarterback run with space. Aller, touchdown!
Okay, before I get into this, let me say this. I think the officiating was fine. I think it was fine. All right. I think it was not the best game for the officials. I think it went both ways where there's some ticky-tack calls both sides, and I think they missed holds on both sides. Okay, I'm going to say that. This is a bad miss for the refs, right? Let's call a spade a spade. Yeah, Mason Graham just getting straight up tackled, right? As soon as you see the initial motion here of the right tackle go into bear hug mode, right? Because that's what that is. That's a bear hug, right? And then suplex like that, it's a hold. It's a straight up hold. All right. So anyway, could have been defended better, right? Could have been defended a little bit better. It's good blocking from the running back, picking up Junior Colson there, right? I think Junior Colson probably accepted that block a little bit too easily, right? Take on that block, right? He kind of accepted the block a little bit more than I would like. And then I don't really understand why you have the hesitation a little bit here from Mike Sainristil. You got to come down flying, right? There's some hesitation here from Sainristil right there. I don't know why, right? There shouldn't be. So that's enough of a crease, right? So it is well blocked. All right. It is well blocked here, but and when I say well blocked, I mean, they got the hats on who they had to, right? You have advantageous numbers for a double team. You have a block here, have a block here, block, good block there. And then you're able to release for Mike Barrett flowing to this play, right? So when I say this is well blocked, it's well designed, okay? It's well designed. But I mean, you look at 71 here and you tell me this, because you can call holding on most plays, right? You're just not allowed to wrap around and hold the shoulders like that. You're just not allowed to. All right. It's not allowed to. So anyway, it's frustrating, right? Where again, there's going to be, holding on most plays, right? There just straight up is. There's a different kind of holding here where, and this is pretty egregious. Usually when you see a hand on the shoulder, right? That's usually a telltale sign that there's a hold. When you see a hand on a number, that is a straight up bear hug of a hold, right? That's just straight up not allowed, right? That's a hold definition of it, right? So you can't say that Mason Graham didn't try to sell it. Okay. I mean, you can't try to sell it any better than that. And I don't think Mason Graham is one to embellish. He doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. Maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but he doesn't strike me as one of those. Okay. So anyway, it's a hold. Hey, if I'm Penn State, you don't apologize for the misses of the refs, right? The refs are going to miss a couple calls. That was a big one, right? And they capitalize. 2-point attempt here, big two. And let's get the game theory out of the way here. He's chasing points here. There's no reason to go for 2 here. It is early in the game, right? Really, really early in a game here to be going for 2. This is like, if this is end of the third, maybe I'll agree with you where you have a limited number of possessions and a field goal ties. Even then, it's questionable. You're chasing points, right? And we'll get to the later 2-point conversion, but this is just chasing points way before you ever should.
Goes in motion. Play fake. Aller looking in the end zone.
Really love how Michigan played this as well, right? This is just disciplined defense, and it's trusting your coverage here. So Jaylen Harrell initially works out on this sort of flat route, right? So this is just kind of going straight to the pylon. You have, I believe this is Mike Sainristil again, working towards the outside here. And then you have Keandre Lambert-Smith on an out route here. So it's really a 2 route option here on the play action, right? There's 2 routes here. So I love what Jaylen Harrell does is he initially gets out to the flat here, right? But he recognizes this guy going out here. This is going to be covered by Mike Sainristil. And then he takes off for the quarterback, right? So he initially discourages this, where if he's not going out there, right, this pass would be here early for Drew Aller. But because he's threatening to the outside, that gives enough time for Mike Sainristil to work his way over the top of this, right? And you trust that you have your coverage here on the backside for Will Johnson. So I love that. And after the initial reaction here, right, and you probably also see that the running back is staying in for protection, right? So as soon as he gets out there initially, then he says, I can stress the quarterback because I know what coverage I have behind me and I can go get after the quarterback, right? That's great recognition and great timing from Jaylen Harrell here because then there's no options here for the quarterback. He has to get the ball out, right? There's no sort of running around or threatening to run the ball here. He has to get the ball out, right? Mike Sainristil's in position and there's Will Johnson, right? No chance. And then give McCarthy Page a lot of credit for following the tight end, right? This is something I didn't even notice before. The tight end here is a late leak, right? He's going to come out and block, stutter, and then he's going to come out to the backside here. McCarthy Page does an excellent job following him. So watch 44 here. Going to block, right? There he goes and releases. That's a tough thing to cover, right? This is tough. And this is assignment football, recognizing that, right? That's watching film. Right? There's no signal that's being shown that says, oh, watch 44, he's going to leak late. No, that's tendencies. That's understanding your assignment. That's playing assignment football. Right? That's what all of this is. This is all assignment football. All right. So it's a really good job, right? Trust your assignments, trust where your teammates will be. And that's why having some veterans out there I would call Jaylen Harrell a veteran. I would call Mike Stainer still. Having veterans out there, you trust where your teammates will be and you know where they will be without even having to look at that. And that'll come into play later on as well. So that's a really good job from everybody. Everybody does a really great job on their assignments there. So excellent job on the 2-point conversion, and Michigan stays in the lead 14-9. Why did the screen go black? Here we go. All right, now we're in the second half. All right, 2nd and 5 here for Penn State.
Give it to him again. This time he's been at the line of scrimmage and
More of the same, right? More of the same. They just could not run the ball consistently against Michigan. They had a couple plays, right? But this is an excellent job of everyone doing everyone again following their assignments. This is the attack mode of a linebacker that I like to see out of Junior Colson, right? He does an excellent job not waiting, right? This is a pretty good hole for the running back here, right? This is a pretty good hole. I do like Jaylen Harrell's constricting this, right? He's pushing this down, closing this hole a little bit. But you have Junior Colson. He goes through this hole. He doesn't wait for 44, right? 44 missed a block. Let's be clear. 44 did not do a good job here. But Junior Colson doesn't wait, right? He recognizes it, boom, puts his nose in the hole there, able to make first contact. And because Jaylen Harrell, right, on the edge here, 32, he's able to constrict this hole, right, push 84 down the line of scrimmage. He's able to assist now, right? And then you got all the bodies that are coming to the party here. So it's a great job, right? It's a really good job there for Junior Colson, not accepting the block, right, going and meeting the running back in the hole. And then you have good assignment football from Jaylen Harrell on the edge, able to pick up the assisted tackle. 3rd and 5 here. Michigan looking to get a stop.
Aller looking. Steps up in the pocket, wants to run it at, has another first down.
I need to up the audio, I think. Give me 1 second here, guys. Audio gain. Let me bump this up a little bit because it's a little quiet. Okay, so this was frustrating, right? And this is something I'm looking to see. Kyle McCord isn't necessarily a great runner. I don't know where I would put him versus Drew Aller, honestly. Maryland's quarterback, Tagovailoa, he can do it, right? He can go. So this is something that Michigan will need to be a little bit more conscientious of, quarterback's legs, than they did in this game. It was also curious how deep a lot of these linebackers were falling in zone coverage. That was something I don't even really understand here, right? Because to me, there's no reason to fall back this deep, right? To me, you should be closer to the line to gain, right? You can understand Michigan is in a 2 safety high. And again, Michigan is preparing for Ohio State here, right? They have 2 safeties high. They're preparing for Ohio State here. Okay. So there is a reason that Penn State did find some success on the ground. We're repping here for Ohio State. All right. Let's be clear about that. But I do think the depth here is a little bit off, right? At this point, as soon as you see Aller here start to flush, which I don't even really understand why he's flushing, right? You only got 3 defensive linemen here against 5 blocking. So the pocket was there. But the linebackers need to be reacting more quickly coming up and defending this. And then it's a good move, right? He's able to juke Jaylen Harrell there with that move and is able to get to the line to gain. There's good coverage, right? Everyone is in coverage well, but you're also covering grass at this point, right? This is one thing that Michigan can do a little bit better is recognize when you are productive versus when you are covering grass, right? So what is Junior Colson really accomplishing here? Not a whole lot. What is Jaylen Harrell really accomplishing here? Not a whole lot. Now, this you could argue is accomplishing something because if this tight end's coming to the inside or something like that, you do have an extra body there to discourage that, right? But this is something where these, and I understand not every route tree, you can't predict that, right? But you have to take stock in what's around you, right? On whether or not this is the priority to cover this, or based on a reaction from the quarterback, right? Of I'm going to run the ball, right? How necessary are you to be in that area? And that only comes with knowledge, and knowledge in a zone drop takes scanning, right? So do just a quick scan. Who's around you, right? Do a quick scan. Who am I covering? Who's potentially coming into my space? If it's nobody, right, then you can start to creep up a little bit more once you see the quarterback start to potentially run the ball here, right? So I get it. There's a lot of ground to cover here, a lot of ground to close down on. So I'm not going to be too harsh on Jaylen Harrell. That's a tough job, right? It's a tough job. And give Drew Aller some credit, right? He recognizes only a 3-man rush, sees the open field, he goes and gets the first down. So sometimes the quarterback just makes the right decision, right? He could have tried to force a pass, an ill-advised pass. He took the better option, right? So we'll see. We'll see. How many times have we even run drop 8, rush 3? Not often. I don't know. I don't know the exact number. And then Antoine, sometimes Junior is still unsure of his assignments. Yeah, I don't think he has like the instincts of a linebacker at times that you maybe want him to. Okay. When I was playing football, my coach used to always have linebackers drift back to the line of scrimmage because at a certain point you're doing nothing. And that's a tough thing, right? Because when he's starting to threaten the line of scrimmage, you could be, if you are getting away from your zone, right, there could be something that is opening up behind you. But by doing those quick scans to recognize, hey, who's coming into my zone, you have better understanding of whether or not that's going to be an option for the quarterback as they start to threaten the run, right? How many times have we seen J.J. McCarthy start to approach the line of scrimmage and then throw a dart, right? I'm not saying that was the case here, but that's something to consider. So it's tough, right? There's a reason why being a good linebacker is one of the toughest things that you can be. I wasn't a great one. All right, 3rd and 2.
Aller, quarterback run again. And once he lost it.
Rayshon Benny, man. What a play from him. Again, how many times have we really pointed out Rayshon Benny? But watch him on this play. He's going to fight through a double team. Right? Boom. Fights through a double, knifes through there, gets his right arm free, gets his hand on the ball, and forces a turnover. Just an excellent play. And I'm bummed we don't have a better angle here of the strip, but he gets his hand on the ball here, and then he rips down. Right? He's able to rip down here and force that ball free. That's a great play. An exceptional play. Changed the complexion of this entire game. Also, look at the hold that's going on Junior Colson. These guys are just huggers. Can I say that? They're just hugging guys. They just needed a hug. Penn State just needed a hug. All right. That's why we got them hugging Mason Graham, Junior Colson on this one. I mean, look around here. You got all these huggers. Okay. But yeah, man, this is just caused from Rayshon Benny. Does an excellent job fighting through. Just such a great job keeping his feet, fighting. Boom, get your hand on it. Right. And then great job from Makari Page, right? He's flying down here from his safety position, right? And then he recognizes as soon as the ball comes free, watch him react. Boom, no hesitation there, right? It's a great job. It's a great job. So Rayshon Benny, definitely his most impactful game in a Wolverine uniform, and only like 17 snaps. That's how you make an impact. That's how you get more snaps. You make plays. So great job. I would say turning point of the game for sure, Because Penn State had a little bit of momentum coming out of the half after that late score in the first half. They shut it down real quick. Real quick. All right, Michigan on offense, 3rd and 2. Here we go.
At the 41. Corum looking for the first down.
So this is one that I thought there could have been something on the outside again, right? So Michigan bringing in the beef, right? Just look at the bodies on this offensive line, right? You got your center, Nugent, Keegan, Henderson, Hinton, Trent Jones. Good luck, right? Bet it's a run. Yep, there it is. So it's 3rd and what? 3rd and 2? I mean, you pause right here, and this is probably what Michigan saw, right? When they bring out the beef here, they saw this, and they said, hey, their ends are crashing in hard, right? Look at the hat here of Bredesen. It's to the outside here. If they're coaching their ends to go to the outside here, guess what's going to be there? Boom, right? So I feel like this is what Michigan saw, right? And they probably saw this and said, hey, there's an opportunity here to break one. We got to do this again later in this game. So anyway, good job from Blake Corum following his puller here. You got Zinter on the pull, right? And you got some down blocks here as well. And Zinter needs to make a decision of when he's coming up, right? When he is going to be cutting up here. And Blake Corum threatens the outside a little bit, but then he just follows 65. Follow the beef, right? Follow the beef. He's going to carve out something for you. And that's just a great find, right? It is a really good job from Blake Corum finding the path to 2 yards, right? So he took a good path there. Was it the best block play? I don't think so, right? You got Miles Hinton who falls down a little bit. He gets good initial movement, but he kind of falls off his block, right? It's not the best block here. Henderson isn't really even able to get much on 41 there. So you could have had a lot better blocks everywhere, right? But when you follow your blocks more often than not, you're going to find something. And Zinter's a really good body to follow, right? So it wasn't the home run hit that I think potentially getting to the outside here could have been, right? But he finds a way, right? And that's what Blake Corum just does in short yardage. He finds a way almost every time. 4th and 1 here, more beef. I bet they run the ball, right? Here we go.
In motion, play fake. McCarthy looking. McCarthy keeps it, cuts, picks up the first down.
And hey, I was wrong. They didn't try to run the ball, right? But that beef, that makes you think they are. Great defense here from Penn State. I'll call it what it is. This is really well done. And remember what I said before when Jaylen Harrell made a great play on the edge, right? Initially going out to the flat and then threatening the quarterback, recognizing that, hey, there's a threat that's coming out to the flat. I need to do my job and then go threaten the quarterback, trusting my defense behind me will cover this, right? If Penn State did that, right? If Penn State recognized that, this play is dead, right? Because watch number 4. He does his job initially, right? He does his job initially, but then he panics. He doesn't trust that his linebacker will be out there in the flat. All he has to do, discourage this initially, and then go rush the quarterback. Instead, watch what he does. He follows Corum. Why are you doing that? Right? Why are you doing that? You got 3 bodies here. 3 bodies. If number 4 instead rushes to the quarterback, where do you go with the ball? Right? Maybe right here. Maybe to Barner. That seems pretty covered, right? So number 4 only made this play possible. If he threatens J.J. McCarthy, play's probably dead, right? Now, A.J. Barner might have been able to make something happen, right? But that's just a misplay. And give Penn State a lot of credit, right? They played assignment football extremely well. They covered this extremely well. You pause it right here, right? And if number 4 is attacking the quarterback instead, this play's pretty dead, right? You probably will just try to throw it here and hope that maybe throw it high and A.J. Barner can go up and get it. But this is covered, right? So give him credit, but this is trusting your defense, right? Trust the guys. Trust your assignments. Trust the guys behind you to take that. And they didn't trust the coverage on Blake Corum. Hey, give J.J. McCarthy a lot of credit here, right? You don't apologize for the opponent's mistakes, Never do. Never should. J.J. McCarthy picks up first down. All right, moving on. 2nd and 8.
Michigan on this drive, all runs. Here's McCarthy with a seam. McCarthy cuts it inside and picks up a first down.
It's a nice job here, right? This is a nice pickup. Good fake, right? Get your eyes on the end here, right? If this guy stays home, right? If this guy stays home, you fake this, keep to the outside, and then your one-on-one blocks on the outside, right? Run him off. I think he runs a post, maybe just runs a fly. Not sure. He just runs a fly. Just run upfield, right? Take him out and then start blocking him. Was there a hold on this? Probably, right? Right here, you look at the left hand. That probably should have been called. Is it as egregious as bear hugging? If you're James Franklin, you think so. If you're James Franklin, you think sign stealing is the worst offense known to mankind. All right. So anyway, good pickup. Right? Probably could have been called on a hold, but again, if they're not calling him one way, better not call him the other way, right? So anyway, really good job there. Right decision for J.J. McCarthy. And this is what I was talking about when I did cut-ups last week against Purdue. When you aren't threatening your quarterback's legs, you're running the ball with one hand tied behind your back, right? You need to. You gain a number in the box, right? You gain numbers in the box by threatening your legs of the quarterback, right? You can take this guy out of your blocking scheme because the eyes themselves will eliminate him, right? And then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's winning numbers if you read him correctly, right? J.J. McCarthy does. That's a win, right? You got what you want on the outside. All you need is one block, and it's a first down on 2nd and 8. First down, right? It's simple. It's simple if you aren't running the ball with one hand tied behind your back. It does incur some risk, right? You have to be understanding that you are putting your quarterback at risk by running him more. That's football, right? You have to be smart about when you're taking your risks in football. And Michigan obviously decides this is a game where it's worth taking a risk, and obviously you can't blame them. All right, 1st and goal.
The pistol back. They give it to him, and he's gobbled up.
Sometimes the defense just has the right play call, right? I think we have the end zone view here. We do. Not a great block from Barner, right? That blows this play up. Blows it up right away. Barner needs to, and Barner, I think this was probably one of his weaker games. He was going up against a host of pretty good defensive ends, right? So your key here, just get your hat inside, right? Get your hat inside. That's the priority number one if you're Barner here. You don't have to win the block. Just don't let him inside there. And he just doesn't, right? See, right off the step there, 33 is able to work his way inside and the play's dead, right? And it's a bummer because it looks like a promising play otherwise. You have pretty much what you want. Right? Now, do I think it's going to be like a huge play? I don't know, right? But if you get your hat across on 33, say he's not here, this looks like it's going to become something, right? You have number 11. He's linebacker. He's probably going to fill this hole. But you look at the hats here of the defenders, right? Seems like he's fighting his way back inside. Looks like this guy's fighting to the outside. I would bet Donovan Edwards is fighting against maybe an ankle tackle here of number 11 and then the safety number 1. It's at least a couple yards, right? At least. But yeah, Barner just needs to do a better job there, right? And that's the thing. One bad block, right? One missed block can blow up a play. It's a missed block, blew up a play. It's a bummer. Definitely wants that one back. And there's the little sign stealing. I had to include that, right? Had to include the little, ooh, sign stealing, ooh. So came back to bite him later, right? All right, Michigan got a field goal out of that drive. I didn't chart the rest of them, but now Michigan's back on defense, 3rd and 3.
They get it away. Allen sprints out of the pocket, throws on the move, has his man, and the first.
So this play, there was like 50 audibles, right? And I give the offensive staff here for Penn State a lot of credit, right? They recognized man coverage, and they ran a route here that is really difficult to cover for a safety lined up inside the hash here, inside the tight end, to cover this on man, right? This is just a man beating one read out route for your tight end here in man coverage. So give Penn State credit, right? They recognized that that is the coverage. They got Aller out moving to get away from the pressure here, and they found a good play call here. So can't really discredit Moore. I think he does the best that he can on that play. Difficult play, just a better offensive play call, right? Michigan does have pressure coming, but again, they diagnosed where the pressure is coming really well, right? Because you're just shifting here, right? The offensive line is just shifting because you're running a rollout here, right? You are just shifting your line to the right here. You don't really care about what's happening to the backside, right? You don't care about these guys. You're just making sure that these guys don't get through, right? That's your main objective here because of this rollout here. And then, yeah, just a quick little flat route here out of 44. And that's a successful play. So give them a lot of credit, right? They recognize what coverage, and when you recognize what the defense is in, you can take advantage. Penn State did. All right, now we're in the fourth, 2nd and 3.
Singleton pitches it back. Aller throws to the sideline and just gets it.
The broadcast didn't make this seem like it was as bad of intentional grounding that it actually was. All right, this was very clearly intentional grounding. Great job on the delayed pass rush here, right? And also, this is a longer developing play, right? Taking a page out of Michigan's book with the flea flicker, right? We don't really get to see what's happening downfield on this one, but it's holding on Braden McGregor on the top here, working up against Fashionow. He'll eventually work to the outside here. So watch Braden McGregor work to the outside. That's a hold right there. You can't have an arm across like that. That's just a straight up hold, right? You can see Braden McGregor like trying to call for that giant hold. Then give Jaylen Harrell, right? How many times have I had to say he's not the best pass rusher, sound player, right? He's just making me look silly every time that I had said that because that's a great spin move. Jaylen Harrell, 32. Right? Recognize this, boom. And he's playing sound football here because he sees the handoff, right? So he's initially working off of that information. Then he recognizes, okay, it's actually a pass, right? He works, does a little spin move, and gets the pass rush. I mean, he's an excellent player. Excellent player. That's a great pass rush, right? Good luck, 44. And that causes a penalty. Again, he gets credit for the sack because this is a penalty. But if it's just a throwaway, that's also a big play, right? So give Jaylen Harrell a ton of credit here. Do not give the refs credit because they missed another hold. But great job, Jaylen Harrell. That's a big penalty, essentially a sack, right? Because it's spot foul, loss of down. So really good job. Sets up a big 3rd and 13 here for Penn State. See what happens.
Here's Aller backing up. Aller lobs it down the sideline.
Josh Wallace, I mean, wasn't a guy that I expected to really be a great corner for Michigan. I thought he was going to be serviceable. This is a great coverage, right? This is a fine pocket. It's just a fade down the sideline here. Josh Wallace takes him to school. All right, this is Keandre Lambert-Smith, their best wide receiver. And Josh Wallace has textbook coverage here. Man on man, right? Good back pedal. Just excellent technique, right? Excellent technique. Really good physical play here, but not overly physical. He doesn't hold, right? He has great technique. There's no wasted movement here. And that's what I love watching these Michigan defensive backs. Very, very rarely do they have wasted movement. They're taught extremely well, right? That's Klink's scale. Coach Klink does his job exceptionally well. This is just great transition. I mean, if you're trying to learn like what technique to do as a defensive back, back pedal, right? He's got, as the wide receiver makes his initial move here, right? Open up the hips, match, keep your eyes on him. He takes a peek at the quarterback right here. You can see you taking a peek to the inside here, back to the wide receiver, make contact, right? Make contact. Don't hold, but you can make contact here. And then once you are definitive in what the route is for the wide receiver here, once you're definitive on that and you make contact, turn around, look for the ball, right? and then run his route for him. Run his route for him. That's what he does, right? It's a great play. What can the wide receiver do here, right? You're allowed to be a little like this 50-50 right here, right? It's not overt contact here. He's running his route for him using the sideline as a defender. That's why they say that. And this is what that means, right? You use your body. You have every right to run in a direction that the wide receiver does, right? Cut that off. Make him run through you. Use the sideline. It's perfect. That is perfect. So really good job from him, Josh Wallace, a guy I definitely underrated coming into the season. Playing great. Has really established himself in that second cornerback role. All right, back onto the offense for Michigan. Here comes the beef. Bring on the beef.
Michigan. Looking for the first down,
and remember, if you remember from previous episodes, I've mentioned that there's times where there's no room for pitter patter, right? There's no room for a jump step, right? Or a hop step. And Blake Corum, you can see him do that often in the backfield, right? Where he'll kind of hop and then he'll make his cut. But there are times where he recognizes there's a yard and I just need to go get that yard. You're a battering ram at that point, right? And you can see the point at which he makes contact. There's a great angle for it. There's not a lot there, right? He's making contact about a yard, half yard short of where he needs to go. This is straight up momentum, right? I have 5 yards of momentum, 4 yards of momentum, and that's all I got. I'm going to find a way, right? And that momentum carries you just enough to get there, right? That's all that is. There is no real hole here, right? Where is the hole? There's not a lot, right? There's not a lot. So you got to create your own yards. There was nowhere else that Blake Corum could have gone here. This is just him ramming his way to a first down. That's it, right? So give him a lot of credit, right? Give him a lot of credit here because that is just using momentum to your advantage. If he doesn't take this at full speed, right? Watch just how he goes at full speed. There's no waste movement. He accepts his fate, right? He accepts it. Boom. I'm going into this at full speed, right? You're bowling over somebody, right? That's it. Sometimes that's all you can take. There's nothing else. And he doesn't slow down at all, right? He accepts the pain. He accepts the pain. That can't feel good. But he sacrifices for that yard, right? It's a beautiful thing to see because that takes a lot of dedication, takes a lot of courage to be able to battering ram yourself to a first down like he does consistently in short yardage and especially goal line situations. All right, 1st and 10.
Donovan Edwards in now. Play fake. McCarthy sets up, lets it go.
Pass interference here, right? The only pass of the second half. It wasn't actually recorded as a pass because of the penalty, right? So it doesn't go on the stat sheet. This is decent pass protection here, right? They're bringing a fair number of bodies here for Penn State, right? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 linebackers that are coming up in response to Donovan Edwards here. So decent enough. I think you do have Nugent getting put on skates a little bit here. He's getting rocked back quite a bit, but he's staying engaged here, right? He's staying engaged here. Decent enough pass, right? Is this a pass interference call, right? This one, I think it is. I think it is a little bit. And I do think that it is a smart move from Colston Loveland to leave his feet here and try to extend. That defensive back is a little bit late on turning his head around, right? And he does have his hands in the chest here. So as Barner leaves his feet, this hands, right, it does look restrictive on letting Barner get there, right? So a lot of fans around me like, oh, he pulled down number 4, right? He pulled down number 4. That's only after the ball got there. Okay. So was it like egregious contact? I don't think so. I think the location of the ball and the outstretched arms here with like the helmet and arms in the chest before the ball gets there. I think this is a tough call for the refs to not make. I'll put it more that way, where I think it would it almost necessitates the call because of where the ball is, right? So I think it's the right call. I don't think it was like egregious pass interference. I think if this ball is put anywhere else, it might not be called. That's my take. The ball being on the other side of number 4 here, in conjunction with the with Barner leaving his feet when he did with the contact, it makes it look like pass interference way worse than if the ball was somewhere else, right? So I think it's the right call, right? I think it's the right call. I can understand you thinking it's not like a 100% pass interference, but if you're late looking back for the ball and you're already making contact as the guy is leaving his feet, probably going to get called for it. All right, 1st and 15.
What we have been told. And here's J.J. McCarthy.
Good defense. All right, this is good defense here. Not the best blocking from Michigan either, but this just looks like a little bit of a broken down play. You look at the pullers here, right? So you have the linebackers working to the outside here, right? You got one puller here working to the outside of, I believe that's Barner again. So you have Zinter doing here. Then you have Bredesen going towards the inside, right? And to me, this is more of a misread from J.J. McCarthy than anything else, because when you have the linebackers both going to the outside here, right? You can have one guy pulling to the outside here. Follow your second block, right? Especially when you have Ladarius Henderson reaching out here as well. If you follow to the inside here, right, the same path that you have Barnhart going down, this looks like a much better path, right? A much better path to be following Barnhart. Whereas you could see this, right? You could see this block and then possibly something like this, right? Now this guy is reacting to it. It seems like this defensive tackle is getting there. So I can understand why he goes to the outside, but Barnhart going up here and only having one guy to the outside doesn't make this a successful play, right? So is this an actual read, right? Is this something that J.J. McCarthy is reading off of? I'm not sure, right? I'm not exactly sure, because it seems like his eyes are potentially right here, right? It seems like it. And I'm not sure if this play is successful if he does give, right? Because you do have a block here, but this is quite a bit into the backfield. You already have another player flying down here, right? So I feel like you have the numbers that you want towards this side to follow. It's just not cohesively blocked, right? Doesn't necessarily look like everyone's on the same page here. So good play from the defense, right? Give them credit on that one. All right, moving on. 3rd and 9 here.
Donovan Edwards in the backfield. He's a great receiver, and they give it to him. Bottled up and goes down.
So J.J. McCarthy was a little banged up after the last play here. So Michigan kind of resigned themselves to running the ball. I think Penn State knew it, right? And there's just not a whole lot going on. Not a whole lot going on here. So, what made this play unsuccessful? Just not a lot of options, right? Not a lot of options. And when you have a guy in the backfield kind of not committing to a certain hole here, you're going to make it difficult to get there, right? So, I mean, the backside could have possibly been there if Henderson picks this up, right? You have the blocks that you initially want, right? Block here, so it's just zone blocking, block. Nugent will release to number 11, block here. You want to help on the block on the end here before Henderson reaches out to 41. So you have the bodies, right, in the box. You do have 23 kind of creeping over here, right? And he's supposed to be taken out here with the read for J.J. McCarthy, but J.J. McCarthy doesn't have the legs here, right? He's not really a run threat because he's a little gimpy. So he's definitely okay, to your question, Mark. Like at the end of the game, he was hopping around. I think it was just a tough hit, like a Charlie horse type of deal. I was watching him on the sideline after this play as well, and he kind of just walked it off. So I don't think it's like a long-lasting thing. Do think Henderson could have done a little bit better job, right? It is against the linebacker. It's a tough block in space here, but he does become disengaged here against 41 there. So 41's able to get himself skinny there, able to make that initial contact, and Barner loses contact there as well. So it just wasn't necessarily blocked exceptionally well on the play side there. I think primarily Barnhart gets pushed back quite a bit from Chop Robinson. And Henderson isn't able to, or Keegan isn't able to contain his block as well. So this is just a lot of things going wrong and a lot of things going right for the defense, right? Sometimes that happens. All right, back on to defense here. We're going on a lot of back and forth here without points. So I apologize. That's just how the game went.
Allen under pressure, delivers, sideline.
It's a great play call here on defense, right? You're bringing pressure backside. Seemed like just a something that Penn State wasn't able to deal with, right? They roll out immediately because the pressure from St. Ursula's coming backside. They have to rush this, right? This is a quicker out route here because Aller has to be on the move. This throw is maybe a little bit earlier, a little bit rushed, more so than it wants to be. And it's good reaction here from Will Johnson, right? Lucky that this throw was inaccurate as it was. If it's a little bit more inside, Will Johnson's probably taking that away, right? So good positioning, right? Good blitz here, forces a quick throw from Aller. Good eyes from Will Johnson in reaction to the ball there. Great timing. It's a really good job there on 2nd and 9. And now we got 3rd and 9 for the Nittany Lions.
He'll throw it. Aller over the middle. Ball caught. Cephas, and Cephas won't.
Just textbook, right? Textbook. Michigan was able to get pass rush when they wanted to, right? And illegal formations, that's what the flag is. I mean, you got another hold here going on Josiah Stewart. Derek Moore with the pressure here just completely beats up left tackle. Left tackle cannot get out there quick enough for that pass rush, right? So this is really the only option. This is meant to be, you can see all of the other wide receivers, they're going out to block. Right, they're all going out to block right away, and that's what their plan is. They're just sending this quick, right? Sending this quick. It's almost like a little screenplay, and that's why everyone is blocking right away. No one else is really expecting the ball here. This is set up to be almost like a screenplay and then continue on here. So it's a really good athletic play from McCarthy Page to get out there on that route, make a really good tackle. Then other guys just win right on the outside. Everyone else is winning against those blocks, including Barrett, including Josh Wallace. So everyone just wins their job and forces that into a punting situation for Nittany Lions. Michigan back on offense. We go. Here we go. 2nd and 10.
McCarthy gives it to Corum. Follows his block. Cuts it inside. Weaving his way in.
Such a Blake Corum run. Right? Such a the most Blake Corum run that I've seen in a while, right? So patient. Just watch the patience in which he follows. Hand on the back of the blocker, right? Cuts the outside here, hand on the back of the wide receiver. Cuts back inside. I mean, this is a lot of work for 8 yards, right? And it's tough because the defense doesn't necessarily do anything wrong, right? This is relatively well defended. This is just a running back being patient here. So it's a good initial cut, right? There's a couple of guys who come flying into the backfield, right? What do these defensive tackles do? They just fling themselves into the backfield, right? So it's a great initial cut here. Almost cuts off the puller, right? It is delaying the pull a little bit. So Blake Corum recognizes, okay, I need to slow up, right? I need to slow up. I recognize there's a couple bodies here, right? You got one block here from your tight end. Here's a linebacker, right? Push your offensive lineman into that, right? You got some blocks on the outside here. Your numbers are still advantageous to you. Play side, you just got to wait for it to develop. Now he does, right? Finds a little bit of a path to the outside, threatens that. He's just finding yards, right? Give a lot of credit here for extending this block. It's not just pick up the initial block here for Zinter. Just watch 65 on this entire play, right? Boom, there's your block on the linebacker. Continue on that path, right? Keep blocking. Boom, right? He gets Corum a couple extra yards because he doesn't just give up at the point of attack. He's going, pushing him 5-6 yards down the field. That's impressive. That's a great job. That's why he's, one of the better offensive linemen in the country. Okay. And then I love this angle. This just shows the footwork here of Blake Corum, right? And the hand. Put your hand on the back of your lineman, cut off of that block, right? Cut off of that, hand on the next blocker. I'm here. Let them know. Push them the way you want, and then cut back inside, right? It's just smart running, right? And it's about maximizing yardage available to you, creating your own yards, being patient. That's why he's a great running back, right? So I love that play. I love that angle of just the patience and the use of his hands, the balance. It's a great job. All right, 3rd and 2 here.
3rd and 2. Corum. And
I said Blake Corum's great in short yardage. This one, you can only do so much, right? And I think it's just a good reaction here to the short yardage run. Blake Corum just didn't have many options, right? Just didn't have many options. When you have a linebacker just flinging himself through here, right? He's not reacting here. And then you have 2 options for Loveland coming across the formation, right? So the first thing, 41 snaking his way through here. I think Keegan probably could have done a little bit better job recognizing that. That forces Blake Corum away from this, right? And then you have 2 bodies here that Coastal Loveland needs to decide behind. I think he needs to block this, right? He needs to block this. He needs to recognize that Blake Corum has to go, right? If he blocks out here, you're still just leaving a linebacker here free, right? And that's what he ultimately decides to do. Always choose the guy inside here, right? Because what is Blake Corum really going to do if there's a linebacker right there? You don't have much of an option. So anyway, if Loveland is able to pick this guy up, maybe there's a path here if Blake Corum hits this immediately, right? Immediately. But not being able to pick up 41 already restricts what Blake Corum can do. So just a tough play, right? And back and forth we go. Now it is Penn State's turn on offense, right? So not a lot of scoring here. This is just the chess match. Time is dwindling, right? Time is ticking down.
Here comes Aller. Looking over the middle, and incomplete.
I can't believe this guy's ribs didn't explode on this play. They got what they wanted here, right? If Michigan wants to send their middle linebacker, right? You want to send a linebacker here and Mike Barrett, who Michigan does like to, right? And send bodies here on the pass rush. That's going to open up the middle of the field, right? And it does. So this is the correct read for Aller, right? There's nothing here because you're losing your linebacker in coverage because he's on the pass rush. He's picked up from an offensive lineman. This is a great pocket for Aller, right? This is a great pocket for Aller. And he finds the route that is open as a result of that, right? This is a tough cover with this much open field across the middle of the field here. Just, can't underthrow him like that, right? You are setting up your wide receiver. I would say you're setting up your wide receiver to get rocked either way here because Makari Page recognizes that, right? So it's a great reaction there from Makari Page. But that throw behind him, man, I felt for that wide receiver here. So yeah, I mean it's the right read, just not a good throw. Not a good throw. And hey, punish him for throwing that, right? So this is exactly it. You can't blame the offensive coordinator, right? I mean, you just got to blame Aller. You got to. It's a good play by Page, as Adam Shepardson says. It is a good play. Probably should have caught it, right? Not the best throw. He's just not up to speed yet. Aller, just straight up, he's just not up to speed. Antoine, question for you. In your opinion, name all the players that should come back for another year because you think they can use another year for whatever reason. Ooh, man. That's tough. That's a tough one. Miles Hinton. I'm pretty confident in that one. I don't know. I want to answer that at the end of the year. I don't think I want to answer that right now. It's a good question, Antoine. I'm not trying to deflect. I'm not in that mode of thinking just yet. So I don't have a comprehensive answer yet. Okay. Let's see.
Right here.
4th and 6.
Michigan brings pressure. Aller over the middle.
I mean, what the hell is this? Right? What is going on here? 4th and 6 on your own 30. It's a 1-possession game. There's 4:25 left. You have 2 timeouts. And it's 4th and 6 on your own 30? This is James Franklin. Like, what are you thinking, right? This is where I was just in the stands. I was like, they're going for it? This is the game. Like, this is quite literally the game. They are putting the game on this 4th and 6. Ridiculous to be doing this on the 30. Listen, I tend to agree with some aggressive play. This is abhorrent coaching. Like, straight up. A unique look here for Michigan, right? On the pass rush. This is a very exotic look, and it's a bad shift here for the offensive line, right? I mean, you can understand, right? They're bringing pressure off the edge here, right? So it's really tough to expect your tackle to come in. You need to do something, right? You need to recognize that, hey, you're open to a big issue if this guy's on a blitz, right? Because he's going here. You just have 2 guys doing nothing here with these guys threatening right here, right? You're in big trouble. You're in big trouble. So you're expecting your wide receiver and your quarterback to be on the same page here, right? And what I'm thinking is that this is an option route for Keandre Lambert-Smith, right? He has to decide based on the alignment of Will Johnson here, do I do an inside, like an in, or do I do an out route? That's what he has to decide here based on the alignment here of where Will Johnson is. Now, Will Johnson is slightly shaded to the inside. You can see that, right? So that's why Keandre Lambert-Smith cuts to the outside here. Why Aller thinks he's running into on the in route here? No idea. No idea. Right? Why do you think he's going there? And even so, this is a good job from Michigan, right? Disguising their coverage. What do you think Michigan is going to do right here? Right? Do you really think they're going to send Mason Graham and Chris Jenkins into the curl zone right here? Right? So even if this is run here, you got a defensive tackle there, right? Michigan gets exactly what they want. They get the pressure. They force the quick throw here from Aller because he's feeling pressure. He just gambles here and bets that Keandre Lambert-Smith is running to the inside here. Should have been an intentional grounding, right? Should have been. Anyway, really bad. Really bad. And the fans have a right to be upset because that was a bad play. Just a bad play. All right. 1st and 10 here for Michigan on the 30.
Corum with a hole down the sideline. Can he get there?
Blake the Great, baby. Here we go. Blake the Great. And to me, because this was the first play after that, right? That was a back-breaking play for Penn State. They were playing good football. They were playing good football. They were. Got to give them credit. That's a good team. Penn State's a good team. Anyone saying they're not doesn't know what they're talking about. It's a great defense. I feel like they were deflated here. Straight up, I feel like they were deflated. I love how you take advantage of their aggressiveness. Take advantage of it, right? Number 11 wants to be aggressive. That linebacker, he's a great linebacker. Use that aggression against him, right? And that's all this is. Number 11 wants to be aggressive here, right? Shoot this gap. There is a gap, right? You got a double team. How do you beat the double team, right? You have a double here. You're hoping that Keegan can get out to that linebacker. How do you beat it? With aggression, right? And that usually works. That worked on the last possession that Michigan had. But guess what? When you're not assignment gap sound football, aggressiveness is really, really going to bite you. Because who do you have on the backside here, right? How do you – so it comes down to you have this gap covered through your double team, right? You have the outside gap here covered from this player. Look where his hat is to the outside, right? He got this blocked right here. You know, that forms, boom, because this guy has eradicated himself by going up the play side A gap here too quickly. And the corner, you're expecting him to kind of do the job of a linebacker, right? I think it's more on the defensive end, right? How are the defensive ends, how are the defensive tackles taught in this offense to play? They get upfield, right? They get upfield, they cause chaos. They cause chaos for the linebackers and the players behind them to have a little bit more reactionary role to that chaos from the defensive line. The issue is when you're not sound, right? When you have two guys going to the same gap here, it's going to open something up. And guess what? You have nobody on the second level here anymore to deal with that. It's one-on-one against a safety, right? That's where we're at. Boom. Two guys take the wrong gap, a little bit too aggressive. Where's your second level? It's gone. Where's Blake Corum? He's gone. 21, good luck, right? Good luck. That's it. Game over. Game over right there. So that's – and people can say like, oh, like Penn State was stopping them all day, or like Michigan couldn't run the ball. They only had like a couple big plays. That's what the aggressiveness brings. It's boom or bust. You're either going to be hyper aggressive and hyper successful, or you're setting yourself up for a big break, right? And that's why you saw Michigan break their biggest runs of the season, because those aggressive plays, and you have the line and you have the running backs who were able to take advantage of that at the right time, right? They stepped up. Running backs stepped up. They didn't miss it, right? They didn't miss those gaps forming. They took advantage of it, right? So give them a lot of credit, right? Give them a lot of credit. So you get the touchdown, get the celebration, and there's JJ McCarthy with the retaliation, right? Retaliation of the sign stealing celebration that we saw earlier from 33 for Penn State. All right, we do get a couple plays here on defense real quick.
Corum with 131 yards rushing. Aller over the middle.
Bummer, man. The stands went crazy after this, and pretty much everyone left for Penn State at this play, right? This is the first play after the touchdown, first play on offense for Penn State. Looked like a pick, right? Looked like a pick. Again, this looks like holding on a couple fronts here, right? Possible holding right there, possible holding right here. If you're not getting to the quarterback, right, what's the next best thing? Get your arms up, right? Kenneth Grant, long arms. And he's able to affect this, right, by getting his hand on the wrist here. I'll slow it down right there. You can see his arm make contact with the wrist, right? That's what causes this throw to be short, right? That's great. What a great play, right? And that's what causes this to almost be a pick. Should have been a pick, right? Should have been a pick, 100%. So phenomenal play from Grant, right? Getting held, still able to get his hands. And this is where, like, usually I kind of scoff at, like, the measurables, right? Like, oh, like, why do we care so much about a guy's arm length or whatever? Kenneth Grant has some long arms, right? Some long arms. And that really helps him disrupt a lot of plays here. And it should have caused another turnover. Of course, Mike Barrett took his helmet off. That gets a penalty. And it wasn't an interception, right? It goes through. You can clearly see it hit the ground. So Quinn Johnson has to make that play, right? But give a ton of credit here for Kenneth Grant, again, making the opportunity for a turnover there. It's got to be a little bit more disciplined, right? And I haven't had to say that much about this Michigan team. It's just a bummer that turns into a personal foul, and now you have a Penn State offense set up at midfield, 2nd and 4 now.
Last one that he threw almost got picked off. 2nd down and 4. Play fake. Aller to the sideline. That one thrown high. Cephas with the catch.
Good catch here. Will Johnson, I think, was going again for the pick instead of the coverage here. A little play action. This is the first read. It's a little bit off coverage here for Will Johnson. And then, he probably could have laid a lick on Cephas instead of going for the ball, but he thought it was overthrown. Was trying to make a play on the ball here. So just miscalculated, right? Miscalculated it. Good recovery to make the tackle, right? So it's kind of bleeding yards a little bit on this drive. I don't want to focus on it too much, but it happened, right? Now you got 3rd and 7.
Alice over the middle.
And this is the biggest thing. If you're looking for areas, like I'm always looking after I do these episodes, right? What are the areas of improvement or things to watch in the future game that you can look for measurable improvement, right? From game over game. And it's not always easy because if Michigan's just blowing people out, right? It's hard to really tell those things. This is a consistent one, I feel like Michigan has improved throughout the season, but this one, it's coming back a little bit for the linebackers. Junior Colston, you can't be covering grass here, right? And this angle shows it best, where your safety here, number 9, Moore, is expecting inside help. That's why you have your linebacker here, Junior Colston, back here, right? He is here for anything inside. You got to scan with your eyes, right? Get those eyes working, scan around, try to diagnose the play, right? Don't watch the play, right? He's watching number 10. As soon as he recognizes, hey, number 10 is in for a pass here, you also have McCarthy Page, right? So you got to recognize that, hey, I need to look at what is potentially coming into the zone that I am covering, right? What is coming into the zone here? And he never does that scan, right? You got to get the eyes working, get the eyes moving a little bit, because if he drifts just a little bit, right? Recognizes this and recognizes that, hey, he might be coming this way, right? Recognize the eyes here as well for the quarterback, right? If he just drifts a little bit, that might discourage that, right? Is it the best coverage from Rod Moore? I don't think so, right? I don't think so. But he's not able to react to the quarterback, right? When you're in that zone, you got to start following that quarterback's eyes here and trust that, I'm almost positive that McCarthy Page is responsible for number 10 here, right? So him having his eyes here, I just don't think he had his eyes in the right spot, right? He's in his zone for a reason. Adapt with your zone coverage based on the eyes here. Where's the quarterback looking, right? You got to recognize that. So, got to be better about it, right? Got to be better about it. And that's a concern, right? It's fair to be concerned because we saw that earlier this year. There has been times where he's been better. Don't think he's great at it, right? Don't think he's great at it. So it's a bummer, right? Don't want to give up that touchdown late in the game here. But it comes down to two-point conversion here to keep it a 2-score game.
Really the game here if they don't get it. Look at this formation, Joe. What's this? They got swinging gate all the way out left. All the receivers down here to the right. Here's Aller. Sprints to his right. Looking. In the end zone. Incomplete.
I mean, what are we doing here if you're Penn State, right? This is just such a weird thing. And here's the difference. I was actually really happy to see this because this is a play you run against. Okay, actually, let me back up here. Always take the PAT to make it 8. So this I'll actually disagree with here. I think going for 2 makes sense because if you go for 2 and make it, then all you need is a touchdown, right? If you go for 1, right? If you go for 1 here, you need the 2-point conversion. If you score again, right? You need 2-point conversion to tie. You're going to need to go for 2 at some point, right? Whether you go for it now or on your next score. So the theory is if you go for it now and don't get it, time is still on your side. You have 159, right? You know exactly whether you'll need 1 possession or 2 possessions. And that gives you knowledge on whether you should kick it deep or onside it, right? If you wait until the end of the game where potentially you score and you're still down 2, you need a 2-point conversion to tie the game, then you don't have any more time that dictated your earlier actions. So the more information you know about the success or failure of that 2-point try, whether you need an extra possession or not. Now, there are certain things of if you try it first, like Penn State did here, and you don't get it, then that could be discouraging, right, to your team, because then you're down 2 possessions and maybe your team will give up, right? There's a human element of that outside of just the statistics. But anyway, that's like what the math behind it is. A couple guys disagree. Adam in account 22. I mean, hey, there's also a thing where I think the human element of that is real, where you want, if you make it a one possession game, right? If you make it a one possession game, then it puts more pressure on the other team, right? If you're down 9, it puts less pressure on Michigan and puts more pressure on your team, and people can play a little bit differently. So, anyway. Okay. So let's look at the play. When I saw this, I was happy because let's break down who is, if you look at who's eligible here, right? So what are the rules of football? That's what this comes down to, right? 4 players are allowed in the backfield. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? These 4 are eligible. They're off the line of scrimmage. The endmost player on the line of scrimmage is eligible on both sides of the line of scrimmage. That is this guy and that is this guy, okay? So the 5 guys that I circled here are eligible. You can see the defense here communicating, right? You see him communicating. Mike Barrett, captain of the defense, essentially, he's saying, I got him. He is eligible, right? This play is hinged on them not recognizing that this guy is eligible because he's going to go out to the flat here, right? So let's play this. Let's go through this play. He is eligible, right? And this play is just on Michigan not recognizing that. You can see the eyes of Aller, right? This is all set up just to get the guy snapping the ball. It's just a little screenplay, right? Block, 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 boom, boom, boom. Run out to the flat. No one covers him. Throw the ball. Touchdown, right? That's what they're hoping on. And this is Michigan recognizing that. Called it out. Barrett called it out to the defense, right? This is the guy. He is eligible. It's great recognition here from who else? Jaylen Harrell as well, that this guy might be coming across here. He keeps his eyes up, right? It's tough for Mike Barrett to work across that. Jaylen Harrell shuts that down, right? Shuts that down. And guess what? Now you have 3 bodies. It's a really good job passing this off, right? Good recognition of, I need to adapt to cover this now. I need to come up and cover this now, and finding a body. So it's really great assignment defense, right? Passing that off. Who's eligible now? Who do I need to cover, right? And they're all there, right? They're all there. Now, I do think Jaylen Harrell drops off 44 a little bit where this could have been an option, but his eyes were also not there, right? Aller's eyes were also not over here at this point. He decides to throw it at Will Johnson, which I don't know what team is trying to throw at Will Johnson 6 times in a game, right? Just not great. And this is just great coverage. Just great coverage all around, right? Great recognition. I'm kind of shocked they didn't do anything on the backside, right? At least have this guy do something, right? At least run him across. Do something weird with him. He's eligible. So I don't know, man. I just don't know. Maybe this is what got him fired. I just don't know. But what a mess of a play, right? And again, Will Johnson, he's a dude, right? He's a dude. Gets his hand right there. Perfect coverage. Perfect. Good luck. All right, last play. This is Michigan sealing the game here. 3rd and 5, 1:47 left. No timeouts for Penn State.
And ended up winning the game. Here's the run for Corum and a first down.
I mean, just a phenomenal cut here for Blake Corum, right? Bringing the beef, recognizing, again, what is Penn State doing? They are just flinging themselves upfield, right? Just flinging themselves upfield. And Michigan says, okay, fine. We're just going to continue on to this second level here. You want to fling yourself out? We'll get to the second level. That's what they're saying they're doing here, right? So great job. If you're Trent Jones, never go backwards, right? If he passes you, fine. Just keep going, right? So that's just a lesson on film I'm sure they teaching. Great block here. Great block on the right side. Who is that? Is that Hinton? Yeah, Miles Hinton. Great block there, right? So great recognition from Blake Corum. And he looked full speed, man. He looked like the Blake Corum that we all know of. This is just such great recognition. His eyes initially is over here, right? And then he cuts back Perfect cut here. Just so smooth with it, right? So seals the game, right? You can kneel it out. Michigan did, and they pick up the win. And that's it, right? And it's funny to me how quick, funny maybe isn't the word, but the narrative's always going to shift where, Michigan can't run the ball all year. This isn't the same offensive line that it was in years prior, right? And I think there is some truth to that. But saying Michigan can't run and then see them pick up over 200 yards against the number 1 or number 2 rush defense in the country is hilarious. It's hilarious because then what's the argument? They can't throw the ball. They don't trust their Heisman hopeful quarterback. He was 7 of 8. All right. Pass protection, sure. If that's what you want to say, that's something to look at, right? Something to look at. But if a team can run the ball 30 times, and I think there was one second half pass, right? The pass interference that we covered. If you can run the ball 30 times with one attempted pass and be successful and win a game against a top 10 opponent on the road, do it. Do it. Do it, right? So anyway, any of those arguments of what happens when Michigan has to turn to the pass, right? We saw that last year. We saw that against Ohio State. The guy's a gamer. JJ McCarthy has a year more experience. He's grown. You think he did it last year, but then he lost that ability? No. Michigan chose the path of less variance to win this game. You put the ball in the air against a defense that thrives in pass rush, right? One of the best pass rushing teams in the country. Why would you pass the ball a bunch if you can run the ball 30 times, throw the ball once in the second half, and win the game? Why would you do that? You put yourself open to a big hit on your quarterback, a potential fumble on a sack, a potential interception with pressure. You open yourself up to so many more potential game-breaking issues by falling into the trap the defense wants you to play in. This was great adaptation from Sharon Moore of taking that strength away from the Penn State defense and saying, we're adding 4 more offensive linemen, 3 more offensive linemen. We're just adding beef here. Good luck. It worked, right? It worked. So anyway, I'm not concerned. I obviously I'll want to see JJ McCarthy do a bit better. And better is not the term. Just do a bit more, right? Just to get that feeling back, right, for him. Just because this wasn't his game, right? He wasn't asked to carry the load for the offense in this game. He did plenty, right? He did plenty with his legs to pick up some key first downs, some key plays, but he wasn't the backbone of this offense in this game because he didn't need to be, and that's okay. That's all right. Will Ryan Day be Ohio State's coach next year? We'll see, man. If we're doing cut-ups here post OSU and we're talking another victory here against a Michigan team that doesn't have their head coach, I'll let my eyes do the talking for that one. All right. That's all I'm going to say right now. Okay. I am off. Hope it's a great game on Saturday. Not going to be at that one. I was at Penn State. Not going to be at that one. Probably just doing chores. Obviously, I'll be back next week with Trevor for cut-ups. We'll probably do 2 episodes again. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. That's the best way. If you're like, how can I support Steven? How can I show that I like this? Subscribe to the channel. Really does help out. Josh has a bunch of news coming out on the Den. That's the premium board at michigan.rivals.com. Check that out. Great intel there from Josh. Trevor's over there as well. I chime in there. It's a great spot. Great spot. Appreciate all of you guys. Really mean it. Appreciate all of you guys showing up here, hanging out with me on a Thursday night. Account 22, Mark, Adam Shepardson, Luca, Antoine, always great questions. Did I say account 22? I think I did. Mr. Martini, Moose, all these guys. All of you. Appreciate you. Dominique Johnson, appreciate everyone coming out, and it makes it more fun. John A. Schultz, missed this live. So one last thing, if you have notifications turned on and you don't have them working for whatever reason, you keep missing them, just undo the notification bell and then hit it again. Don't know why that works. That works. Okay. I've had people reach out to me and say, I don't get notified when you're going live. Apparently that works. Okay. So try that out. I'm sorry if YouTube isn't notifying you. It should if you have those enabled. But anyway, okay. Thank you all. See you next week. Go Blue. Beat Maryland. Beat Ohio State. Go Blue.